What's some AI and relevant legal principles that are going to be figured out in the future? So I was recently contacted by one of our subscribers, Kumise from Kazakhstan, who was asking about questions about resources for understanding AI and intellectual property, but as well as what do I foresee as some of the legal issues that are going to be coming up. So I figured that would be a good post for a video here to discuss. Here's the email that I wrote back. So one of the big things is going to be liability and accountability for infringement, defamation, and other issues that might arise from using artificial intelligence, such as there actually is, I believe, in Australia, a current case where someone is suing either OpenAI or one of the other services because what it wrote and said about that mayor or governor of that town was incorrect. So he's suing them for defamation for that. So that's something that's going to need to be figured out. Are they a speaker as if they were a person or a publisher that would be liable there? But also, what if they create an article and someone just uses that, but that article then happens to infringe on someone else's rights? Who's liable? Is it OpenAI or whoever the AI software is, or is it the person that posted it, or both, probably, potentially? Same thing with any videos and any artworks that are created using any of those. So that's probably one of the biggest things is liability for that. The next is going to be ownership and who owns the AI generated works. So for patents, there's been actually a couple of cases recently. Professor Thaler created a machine called Dabus, D-A-B-U-S, that's here. And he filed some patents around the world kind of as a test subject. And one of my favorite AI tools is actually the Neva search because it actually cites to where it pulls its information from. So, and it's just really good to get you the information close. So Neva, highly suggest it if you haven't checked it out yet. But Fowler filed in the European Patent Office, and they refused it based on being an AI invention. UK has also denied it. The USPTO denied it, saying that it's not a person, it needs to be an actual human being that invents. And the USPTO and the US Court of Appeals has agreed with that. Now, I do believe, and it didn't come up in here, is that I think in Australia, he has been allowed a patent has been granted. I don't know, maybe he hasn't. Oh, here it is. Decided artificial intelligence can legally be recognized as inventor in a patent. So Australia seems to be doing something different than the rest of the, although here it says the High Court. So maybe the High Court actually took away what originally they gave to him because I believe that that one's older. But you have to check that out. It's a constant change here. The Copyright Office in the U.S. I did a video on this before, but they have ruled on Zaraya of the Dawn. They originally provided a copyright, then somehow they were informed that it was done by artificial intelligence, and they withdrew it. They did wind up providing a nice long written opinion about it, which I have a prior video about. And what they're looking at is the U.S. Copyright Office is going to see which part of the copyright that you're seeking is from the actual human. What input did they put? So, and it's probably going to depend upon which AI service you're using, how much of it comes from the user, and it's going to be almost a case by case basis. Maybe at some point they'll know if you're using Midjourney anything created on Midjourney is not protectable. Anything created on DALL-E is protectable, is not protectable, based upon the different technologies that you're using, but then also what you maybe do after the fact. So a lot of lawyers try to equate it to use of a camera or video camera, because in that you're not actually putting pen to paper. You're not, you're using a tool to essentially record something. And then just your efforts of adjusting and pointing is what people are trying to argue as the prompts. So, there's something to keep watching and seeing what different tools there are to help you with AI generated art. And the less prompting, the less input from a user is most likely going to be that it's not protectable by copyright, whatever is put out there. So the next question after that is, what happens to that artwork that's created by these AI inventions? What happens to the, blog posts that are created? Can anyone just take them and make a copy of them and use them? And that's going to, depend upon who actually is the inventor, who is entitled to a copyright or not. Uh, there's also a few things. There's something called derivative works, which is when you have a piece of copyright work. And if for a book, if you put it into a different language, that's considered a derivative. If you turn it into a movie, that's considered a derivative. So, and usually the copyright still flows. There's to the original copyright would have some rights in that. So how are these things going to play out when it comes to AI? If the AI creates something, but then you take it and modify it, do you now have a copyright in the that protects what you modified it to, what the derivative work that you created from there? So that being said, derivative works are, if it's a translation or something like that, it's only limited to the work you put to it, the translated copy, but not the original. And just for the translation, not the actual story, to give an example. Going on with that is, like protecting, the algorithms, trade secrets. How are these going to be done? It could potentially be done by patent, because this is actually what's created by us as humans, is the algorithms, or at least initially the algorithms. We might start using, and I'm sure they are, AI to assist with creating better algorithms for AI. Basically training themselves, the whole, we're going to get to the end of the chain and it's going to be the Terminator. But also the data sets they're using, where are they getting these data sets from, is one of the big things. The EU is coming out with a law that, or they're set to rule on a law that would require companies to disclose any of the copyrighted material that they use to train the model. So this way where that's coming from. But that also then potentially opens up all these AI software, depending upon how they train it. Are they, storing that, making copies of it during the process, or are they just, scouring the internet and seeing it like we would with our eyes somehow, if the AI is able to do that? These are all different things that are going to be at play, and based on a lot of the copyright cases that have been brought against DALL-E, Midjourney, it's going to be looking at how exactly are they using the pre-existing copyrighted works to train. And then the last thing is ethical considerations and AI bias, addressing any ethical considerations for using AI, to do things that you wouldn't want a country or company to do. In a lot of the police states, they're worried about using AI to track and basically figure out if someone is going to commit a crime before they're gonna, and arrest them. Then there's the, Tom Cruise movie Minority Report, where that's what they did. So there's that concern. There's the bias that people have brought up, whether or not the AI chats are biased towards a, certain political group, race, religion, things like that, um, and just what we're going to allow AI to do and what we're not going to allow it to do. So it's just, the quick synopsis of some of the potential legal issues with a, definitely us looking at it more towards from the IP perspective, since that's what I do. But um, there are, of course, other issues, terms of service, what they're doing with your prompts. And, if you put in a prompt, are they going to be able to use that? Are they going to let other people know what that is? So that's all things that would have to be in terms of service. What are your rights? I know OpenAI just changed something on that to comply with Italy. So this way, Italy will allow people to use ChatGPT there again. And if you like these, if you want to, keep following, please subscribe below. Any questions, feel free to reach out either in the comments or directly. And thank you for watching these and have a great day.